I just kind of threw together a few actions that you guys are maybe doing in your business, right? So if we look at this, they all have an hourly rate. There's an hourly rate in this column here, right? So let's say we can buy citations, right? That's easy. You know, we can do them ourselves. So maybe like you do a day where there's like 2 hours of citations, okay? And then maybe backlinks. Those are a little bit more high level. We can also buy those too. So maybe that's actually, we'll spend like 3 hours on building backlinks, and you know, I've probably put the site building stuff over here. So if you're doing that, we'll put 2 hours in there for working on a site. Maybe this one is actually, because this takes some SEO knowledge to be able to do this. So maybe this is a $20 an hour for niche research, and we do like 1 hour here. And so now we've already spent like 8 hours, and we haven't left a lot of time for this other stuff. So maybe we do one sales call, or maybe we do a couple sales calls. I would put this over here. This is like, spent 1 hour there. And then system building, I think that's going to be in this column too. So this is like what, a 10-hour day? Did I do that right? 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you were to kind of total up the value of your day, so these are $2,000. This is $2,000 for this, and this other stuff, you've got $3, so $6. You spent 2 hours on a $3 an hour too. So that's worth $6. You spent this is worth $30, plus this one is $50. So you've got $56 plus 20 is 76. So you spend eight hours for like essentially to do $76 worth of work. Where over here, look at this. Now we've got $2,000 coming in, right? How do we build a system that handles a lot of this stuff here, right? So we shouldn't be doing that. That's not how our day should look. Our day, what if our day, and this is where Spencer was when his income jumped. Spencer was spending a lot of time on calls. I know, because he was like, hey man, I had like 9 appointments. So his day, when he went from like $10,000 a month to 25 and then 40, and he had a $10,000 day. What do those days look like, Spencer? Do they look more like this or like this, where you've got like 8 of those?
Yeah, of course. And now you guys, I'm a lot more protective of my time as well. So I'm not just jumping on like before. I mean, I'm sure like everybody's been here where you're just jumping on calls because you're just with a hope and crossing your fingers that, hey, miss, this might be a sale. Now with that audit, you're getting a lot of that, like that reasoning of getting on a call out of the way. And now when they're getting on the call, they really know that, hey, it's closing time.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, kind of like spending that a little bit of time before that so that you can make sure you're getting on the right calls. But here's the problem I think a lot of us have is in this business model, we can sit down and be busy all the time. Like like I could go through my sites and I could find, oh man, this is like, let me go find a backlink opportunity. I can do that. I can always do that. There's a never ending amount of work that's associated with running this business. There's always another keyword that I can rank for. There's always some like optimization I can do. And until you have a plan of what the week's going to look like and what you're actually going to do, like you're going to get sucked into these columns all the time. Like you're going to spend a lot of time doing this stuff. And maybe that makes sense when you're getting started for maybe 2 reasons. The first is you need to learn how to do these things because it's going to be hard for you to manage some of the stuff. I wouldn't necessarily want to learn how to do citations, but being able to understand how backlinks work. And this is another one I probably wouldn't do actually now you mentioned it, like site building. If we can just like hire somebody and we can understand, like we can tell whether the site's built or not. We may not, if we don't understand backlinks, we may not know the value of what, hey, is this a good link or a bad link? That's something that you need to understand when you're going to start paying people and you're going to start scaling it. Right? So some of the stuff you want to do, niche research, I'm not going to hire that out at the beginning. I need to learn how to do that. I need to learn how to identify good markets and bad markets. And then when I train somebody, I can know whether they're choosing the right markets, right? Sales and this stuff, as we move over into these columns, it gets harder to find someone to jump into these columns for you, right? Which is good because you can sell those ones off last. So this is the kind of stuff you need to spend less of your time here. If you want to make more money per month, spend less of your time doing the things that aren't worth that money, right? It may mean that like the first month you're paying somebody most of what's coming in. And, you know, as long as your bills are covered, I'm not telling you like, hey, hire all these people and then like don't have enough money to feed your family. Don't do that. But what I'm saying is like, if you have the opportunity to not do these citations backlink, and there's dozens of these things like GMB optimization. That's something that can very easily be turned into an SOP in a process, right? So you can do those, but really building the system, right? This is why I put this one over here. You build a system, you build the SOPs, you've got videos with step-by-step guides on how to do these things. And then somebody else, you do that one time, and then someone else for the rest of time, they do it for you and they do it exactly how you had done it because you built it into a system that makes complete sense. That is a good use of your time because you're doing it once and then it's going to be repeated by somebody else that you're paying $3 an hour, $5 an hour, right? So you're kind of like taking that off. If you have the skill set to rank sites, then you should not be working for $3, $5, $10 an hour. That's not where your time should be. It should be spent there when you're learning. But you're learning, it's not $3 an hour in that situation, right? It's $3 an hour plus this like valuable skill. But as you transition, like Spencer, you should not be in there like building backlinks because you can, or optimizing your GMB because you can, right? Let's like for you, what it sounds like, you need to be over here in this category a lot, right? You need to be in the systems building. You've got like, hey, there's holes in the business that we've discovered. How can I identify those holes and solve these kind of like bigger problems, right? Because that's the $1,000 an hour activity. And hey, this number doesn't have to stop here. You know, I've had the opportunity to speak at events. Maybe that's a $10,000 an hour activity. You know, one of the strategies that I used when I first started, this is really where we blew up. One of my first prospecting methods is, you know, I realized that the people that we were working with were buying their materials from like a company, and they had like these reps that were in between it. So they would like talk to their rep, and the rep would like order, and they were like this in between. And I'm like, oh, okay. So these people that are supplying the material, they benefit when the contractors are successful, and the contractor benefits when they get more business. So I found one of these reps and I was like, hey rep, what was that guy's name? I don't remember his name now, but I was like, can like, this is what we've done. Here's proof. Here's stuff all over the place. Can you get me in front of one of your, like someone high up in your company? And like, I'd love the opportunity to be able to supply them with more business. And that's going to be a win-win-win, right? If you can get me good contractors, they get more business, they order more material. It's a win-win-win. I knew going into this what their fear was. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie 8 Mile with Eminem. So there's this, it's not necessarily about rap or anything like that. There's this part at the end where like he's got all these things that they can make fun of him for. And he basically calls it out prior to the other guy. It was a battle. So they're going to say like, hey, this is the bad stuff about you. This is the bad stuff about me. So he's like, hey, I do live in a trailer. I am white trash. Like he said all these things. And it was the other guy's turn to talk. He's like, he didn't have anything to say. So when you're going into sales, it's a really good technique. It was like, hey, I understand. And this is what I told the manufacturer. I was like, I understand that you're worried that maybe we won't deliver. There's probably a lot of people that say that we could do what we do, right? So I was taking away their objectives before they even had a chance to do that. And I said, hey, I've got a potential win-win-win. I had picked off, I think, all of their objectives. Like, why don't we do this? Let's take away this risk for you. I'll build 3 sites. You pick 3 markets with 3 of your great contractors. Let's see if what I'm saying is true. No cost at the beginning. Let's just see what happens, right? And they said, okay, we'll do it. So I blew it up for these 3. Then they put me in front of a room with 30 people. There's 30 people in this. So I had the opportunity to go speak at this event. And this is where we're doing this. I don't know what my hourly was. It's more than 10,000 because of the 30 people, I closed 18 for $1,500 a month, right? I spoke for 45 minutes. So that's getting into kind of that higher category, and this can keep going up, but you have to think about it and you have to identify the fact that these categories exist and they are directly correlated with your income, right? And if you don't pay attention to that, we can stay busy all day long in this like $3, $5, $10 an hour activity. How can we get into these higher zones? It's like you look at somebody like Elon Musk or like some other top entrepreneur, Jeff Bezos, right? They're spending their time over here, and they've forced themselves into that category. If you're not conscious of that, you can waste a lot of time in these other areas and you can tread water. The time that you spend, we all have 24 hours in a day. The more time that you spend moving to the right of this spreadsheet, the faster you get to the numbers that you want. But you got to pay attention to it. I would track it, track your time. All the top leaders, entrepreneurs, they say, pay attention to your time. Be like brutally honest about what you're doing with your time and what the value of that is. When you start to make that shift, I think you're going to see a big change in things.